Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released iOS 26.4 Beta 4. iOS 26.4 Beta 4 is available to developers and hopefully soon to public beta testers. We should see iOS 26.4 Public Beta 3 hopefully by the time you're watching this video or sometime tomorrow, and it's available on all iOS 26 supported devices. This came in at 1.28 gigabytes on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, was similarly sized on other iPhones, but was 10 gigabytes on the iPad for me. Along with this, Apple also released iPadOS 26.4 Beta 4, macOS 26.4 Beta 4, tvOS and HomePodOS 26.4 Beta 4, along with watchOS 26.4 Beta 4, and visionOS 26.4 Beta 4 as well. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the build number and talk about what's new. We can see it now by going to Settings, General, and Software Update. Then we can go to More Details, tap on the version number, and you can see the build number here. The build is 23E5234A. We're finally at an A build number, and I would expect the RC to be next, but we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Now in this update, there is a new modem update going from Beta 3 or Beta 3 re-release to Beta 4, so if you are having issues with cellular connectivity, hopefully those are resolved, but that will take a few days to notice. Now the first new feature that's been updated here is some new emoji. So if we go into Messages, and we have new emoji to comply with the latest Unicode standard. This is Unicode 17. Apple does not come up with the new emoji. They just comply with the standard along with Android, Microsoft, and others who add emoji to their operating systems as well. But you'll see the latest ones here with a treasure chest. We have a ballet dancer, a trombone. We also have a distorted face, what they're calling a hairy creature or a Sasquatch. We also have a fight cloud, we have an orca, and a landslide. So all of these are new to comply with the latest standard, and they're finally showing up in Beta 4, where before these were just question marks with a box around them. Apple has made a change here within Settings under Accessibility and Display and Text Size. You'll see there's no longer the option for Reduce Highlighting Effects, where we have it on Beta 3 on the left, Beta 4 on the right, but if we scroll down, it's been replaced with Reduce Bright Effects, and it even tells us what it does. It says minimize highlighting and flashing when interacting with on-screen elements such as buttons or the keyboard. So before, where many people would press the button here, you'll see the highlighting effect is completely gone. If I turn it back off here, so again, Reduce Bright Effects is off, tap here, and it sort of highlights in the background. So if you don't like that, you can now turn it off, but it doesn't reduce all the effects people were wanting. Also within Settings, if we go down to Apps and then Messages, there's a change here as well. So if we go to Messages, within Messages, if we scroll down to where we have RCS messaging, they've removed end-to-end encryption. This was in beta before. There's no longer an option here, and it seemed to work on and off from time to time, and then it stopped working in Beta 3, it seems. So it looks like it's something that they need to update so that it works with Android, and of course has end-to-end encryption. But for now, it looks like they've removed it with Beta 4. Maybe they'll replace it with the RC, but we just don't know. Also, if we go into the new version of Freeform here that goes along with Apple Creative Studio, you'll see that we have this icon down here. You'll see it now says Discover, and we have more options here. So I wasn't seeing this in previous updates. I don't know why it just updated, but now I'm seeing more options here, where before it just showed shapes where you could select those. Now we also have some new splash screens the first time you go into different applications. For example, when I opened up Music, I was greeted with the new feature list where it says what's new in Apple Music, Playlist Playground, Concerts Near You, and New Look for Albums and Playlists. So we know about those, but again, they're telling us about the new features. There was also a new one the first time I go into Apple Vision Pro. You'll see here where it says Discover New Content, Get Your Vision Pro Ready, and Share with AirPlay. There was also a small pop-up when I went into Freeform. So if I went into Freeform for the first time, I took a screenshot of it, and you'll see here it says do more with tables, organize content, lay out sections of your board, and more. So that's something that just keeps popping up, new little tips about how to use it. As far as other releases, of course, this week we see all of the new releases Apple announced last week with their Apple launch event, where we'll have the MacBook Neo in just a couple days, the iPhone 17e, the updated M5 Pro and M5 Max MacBook Pro, the M5 MacBook Air, and the upgraded M4 iPad Air, along with the different cases and different accessories released for iPhone 17e as well. Those all released this week. I'd be curious to know what you're picking up, if you're picking up any of them, and of course I'll have videos on them once they release. Now, as far as bugs and bug fixes, well, the shortcut input bug has been fixed, it seems, for many. So if you were having issues with automations, with shortcuts, everything should be working properly. Let me know if it's working for you in the comments, but many people online say that it's been fixed. When it comes to Apple CarPlay, so far it seems to be working okay. However, we'll have to wait and see if that's everyone, as some people are still having issues connecting or just having it disconnect. So far on the latest betas, I haven't seen that at all in my car though. Also, some animations or screen lag remain, so it depends on what app you're going into. For example, if I lock the phone, unlock it, slide up, and swipe over, it seems nice and fast, but I'm seeing other lag. For example, if I go into Safari, swipe over, maybe open up a new tab, sometimes it's very laggy. It just is hit or miss, and it seems like it comes and goes. But overall, I'm not seeing many other issues with animations, at least in this particular build. Of course, it will take a few days to notice. Of course, when it comes to the wallpaper bug, let's check that. So if we pull down from notifications, you'll see it looks okay. Looks very similar this time. Oh, there we go. Now it's popping up and sort of brightening or saturating, and then it desaturates. So it looks like it's not completely fixed, but again, it's hit or miss. Sometimes it shows up, sometimes it doesn't. So it's just an odd bug that seems like they're never going to fix at this point. As far as the App Store, I was asked if you could sign out. So if you go into the App Store, go into your account in the upper right. So within the account page for the App Store, I'm not seeing an easy way to sign out. So for those of you that wanted to sign out, maybe sign in with a different ID, it's not as easy as it used to be, at least in this version. Also, if we take a look at Apple's release notes, the public-facing release notes, they have resolved a few things. For example, you'll see here with external media, they fixed where HFS external media might fail to mount automatically. This mostly seemed to be an issue on the Mac, but it seems to be resolved here. And there's a few other things resolved with feedback, for example, where it says after submitting a crash or panic report, Feedback UI's close button might become unresponsive. So they have fixed a few things here. There's a few resolved issues, still some known issues with things such as Reality Composer, but it looks like they're making good progress here. As far as future releases, well, if we take a look at the calendar, typically we could expect, now that we've had beta 4, it ends with an A for the build number. Usually the release candidate or RC version is next, so we could see iOS 26.4 RC as soon as the 16th. If that's when we see it, typically we could expect a public release the following Monday, usually around the 23rd. So that's what I would expect as far as a public release, unless something changes, and then of course we'll move on to iOS 26.5 beta 1. Maybe we'll finally see Siri 2.0 with Apple Intelligence, but we don't know. And if that's the case, we could expect a release sometime in April. Of course, the next version with iOS 27 beta 1 is expected to be shown in June, usually around the 8th, around WWDC 2026. So we don't have any specific features other than stability really for that, maybe Apple Intelligence and some changes to health. But overall, it's getting much better as far as overall stability and just battery life and everything else. Of course, we'll talk more about that with the weekend follow-up video. If you're wondering if you should install iOS 26.4 Beta 4 or Public Beta 3 once it's out, that really depends what version you're already on. If you're on iOS 26.4 betas of any sort, I would definitely upgrade, provide feedback as needed if you're having issues, so Apple can resolve those. However, if you're on iOS 26.3.1, I typically still wouldn't recommend it for your main device. You could try it out, but if you do, just make sure you have a backup and a computer if you need to downgrade. Now, as far as overall performance, well, so far with iOS 26.4, it's been pretty good. I mentioned it already, where the overall animations seem to be fluid and fast, but they can sort of stutter from time to time. The app library is smooth, ProMotion is smooth, and we're seeing good performance on older devices as well, whether it's an iPhone 12 or an iPhone 11 like I showed in the weekend follow-up video. When it comes to overall heat, well, it will take a few days for things to finish processing in the background, but the phone is staying nice and cool. Apple's done a pretty good job with the iPhone 17 series. It's staying nice and cool where it typically gets hot right in this area. It seems nice and cool to the touch, but again, we'll let it process for a few days and see what it's like. When it comes to battery life, let's go ahead and take a look here. Within battery, if we scroll down, go to battery health, you'll see I'm at 100% capacity with 34 cycles. And if we go back to battery usage, it seems to vary from day to day. But yesterday was 2 hours and 13 minutes of screen active time, 34 minutes of screen idle time with 40% usage. If we go back to Thursday, 78% usage with 4 hours and 29 minutes of screen active time. However, it looks like there's a bug here where Monday is missing. So if we go back to Monday, it still has the statistics, but the actual bar itself is missing. So that's definitely a bug there. When it comes to overall storage, let's take a look. We'll compare Beta 3 re-release to Beta 4. So if we go into our settings, go to General and then iPhone Storage, let's take a look. We'll scroll to the bottom and you'll see it's taking up a little bit less storage. iOS 26.4 Beta 4 is taking up 21.92 gigabytes. And if we compare that with Beta 3 re-release, it looks like Apple Intelligence is just slightly smaller along with the iOS install. When it comes to system data here, you'll see that it's pretty low. 13.59 gigabytes. It's staying low. It looks like they fixed it where it's not ramping up to over 100 gigabytes for most people. So it looks like that was a bug that's been resolved at this point. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the benchmarks and see how it does. Benchmarks just finished, and we have 3,745 for single core, 9,904 for multi-core. That's pretty good overall, especially for a beta. We'll give it a few days, see if it improves, and we'll talk about that in the weekend follow-up video. So that's everything with iOS 26.4 Beta 4. Of course, if I find more features and changes, I'll talk about those in the weekend follow-up video, so be sure to check back for that. Of course, if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.